And a very good morning. It's Mark here. Tuesday, June the 24th, just after 8 a.m. Eastern. That's just after 12 GMT. US session now underway. And let's have a look how the markets stand going into today's US Open. US dollar index, our starting point. And what we see is a continuation of the dollar sell-off, dollar weakness, following up from yesterday, a gap down to start today, and continuing that sell-off. Most of the selling was through the Asian session, kind of leveled off a little through the European session going into the US. You can see here's the hourly, here's the big push lower, but has kind of leveled off, but hanging around the support area, which is at 97.52. Sellers will be looking to test, break below 97.52 of the continuation of yesterday's sell-off. US dollar fight back. If the US dollar does fight back now that the US session is underway, looks like this is the support area. This is the floor where buyers were looking to bounce back up off this area and come up and test the 97.85, which is the resistance. Let's have a look at the S&P. Strong day yesterday. That's the inverse relationship. Weak US dollar, strong equities certainly played out yesterday. Then a gap up to start today, and continuing in off-market trading, off hours in the futures market. We can see S&P has already started to continue its move up from yesterday, from the gap up to start the day. Support at 6,096 and resistance 6,147. Attempting these record high levels. Just scrolling back there, you can see struggles at this level, the S&P. I'm going back to beginning of January this year, and then I'm looking at February again, and here we are in June, again testing above the 6,100. Let's see if that can be maintained. If there is demand when Wall Street opens up, and that'll be in about an hour and a half. So resistance at 6,147, support 6,096. Gold. Interesting that gold has been sold off. Strong sell-off in gold, moving in the same direction as the US dollar, both being sold off. Traditionally, an inverse relationship between the two, but here we are seeing both of them moving in the same direction. I've got resistance at 3,356. I've got support at 3,314. I know that 3,300 is very pivotal, and that's the area that sellers are looking to test right now. If I zoom in on the hourly, you can see that the big sell-off came during the Asian session. And since the European session going into the US session, pretty flat, but certainly tilted to the downside. And sellers in control right now, and that 3,314 on the way to the 3,300 level is what sellers are looking at and to test. Buyers will look to bounce up off this 3,000, be it 3,300 or where we are now, 3,316. This is where buyers will look to bounce back up and look up at resistance sitting at 3,356. Let's have a look at Brent oil. Brent oil, I've got the daily up. There you can see the huge sell-off that we had yesterday. That's from a high yesterday of 77.59 right down to support at 68.71. That's a huge move lower. That news coming on the potential and hopefully potential de-escalation and ceasefire, and hopefully that continues, and that brought the price of oil all the way down here from the close to $78 all the way down yesterday below 70, 69.33, is resistance, 66.70 is support. And that 68 level looks like where Brent oil is comfortable now. Buyers will be looking, if there is a bounce back up off here, certainly look above the 69 level and back to 70. If it's the continuation of the sell-off, 66 is the support area. And interesting, if you look at the daily, the levels we're sitting at now are the same levels we had pre the Middle East conflict and the war starting with Israel's first attacks on Iran, which is about 12 days ago now. We're back at those pre-war, pre-conflict levels. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. Strong day for Bitcoin yesterday. Fought back from the $100,000 mark all the way up to 106,000. Hanging around those levels now. You can see bias is up, trend is up, EMAs have crossed to the upside. I've got support at 104,000, resistance almost 106,000, and hanging around yesterday's resistance area. Buyers will be looking to test and break above this 106, something they've been unable to do for quite a while, get back up to the 108 or higher and continue what started yesterday. Sellers, on the other hand, will be looking below the 105, 104,000 to get back to the 102,000 support area. Good trading. Keep that discipline. I will see you at the end of today's session.